Welcome to the next episode of Spilling the Tea in Studio D. The road show continues.
I know.
We're in
I love it.
beautiful downtown Glen Rose, Arkansas, home of the Beavers, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
go Beavers.
Okay,
Go Beavers.
yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
today we've got with us MacKinzy Chaney, right? Hey,
Yes.
how about that?
He did
yeah.
good.
He
So,
always messes up the name.
Typically, yeah.
You did
So,
great.
Yeah.
well, I understand you're a library media specialist, right?
Yes,
So, I know there's a group that we've kind of put together to co-op. You guys meet ever so often, and you drew the short straw, right?
Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
I guess that's what I did.
So they pushed you forward and said, go forth and be on the
Yes.
podcast, right?
Oh, yes. I'm the tribute. It's fun.
So let's
love
just
it.
start a little bit about your history as far as what led you to the position you're in. Well, actually, what led you to education and what that road looks like.
Okay. I think I knew at a very early age I wanted to be an educator. I was always kind of like the little teacher. I think God wanted me to be an educator. I
Right.
think that's what He created me for.
Absolutely.
And so I went to college and wanted to be a history teacher.
Okay.
There's not many of those that aren't history and coaches.
Exactly. That's right. That's right.
And so I did minor in coaching, but graduated from Henderson with my BSc Social Sciences and interned here at Glen Rose.
Okay.
And interned under an amazing teacher. I had an amazing mentor. Her name was Annette Maddox, and she has left us. But she was great and taught me
Right.
so much. So there was not a history opening, but there was an English opening.
Gotcha.
And so they were like, maybe you could do that. I said, maybe I could. I don't know. I had some amazing English teachers in high school.
Right.
Mr. Scoggins and Miss Redding were amazing. And so, and I still had my notebooks from everything
Right.
they had taught me. So I was hired to teach English and journalism
Okay.
here
Yeah.
in 2006, 2007. That was my first year.
Right.
And so I taught English for, I think, 9 years. And all I had to do at that time for your high school is test out. So I just took
Right.
my practice test, tested it out. I didn't have to do coursework necessarily. But I needed to be a better English teacher because that was not what I
Sure.
had majored in.
Right.
And loved reading, so I went back and got my MSc in reading from Henderson. And I graduated with that in 2010.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I had my master's in reading and rocked along for a little bit. I'd fill in. So I did the yearbook for 15 years.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Oof, that's a
Yeah.
job and a half.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
a task.
We
for sure.
we worked. I mean, I had some great staff members over the years who won, Federal Journalist of the Year, your Business Manager of the Year, just all those jobs that you have. And we had a great setup, but it is very challenging and it takes a lot of work.
Yep.
But I did do journalism in high school, so I had a little bit of background there. And the history job came open in the high school.
Okay.
And so they asked me, did I want to go? And I said, yes, I want to go. Absolutely. I want to go. Yes.
Right.
So I switched to history. I think I taught English for 8-9 years, and I switched to history kind of 5 or 6 years. So I had been in the classroom 15 years when our librarian here was thinking about retiring. And I did not have my library media specialist. I just
Right.
had my master's in reading. And so I was like, I asked her, I call her, I was the baby sister because when I started teaching, I was 22.
Right.
So she was my older sister. There were several of them, took me under their wing and helped me.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so she was my sister, Sister Trish. Big sister, tell me what to do. Can I do it? What do you think? And she said, yes. Yeah. She helped me. And so I applied, had an interview
Right.
with my peers, with my colleagues,
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
and with the English teachers. So they interviewed me, and so they offered me the job. So I went back to SAU. So now I became
Right.
a mule rider
Right.
and not just a ready.
Yeah.
And they offer something at SAU. I'm going to do a little plug for SAU because people out there, y'all need to look them up. You can do a library media certificate if you already have a master's from them.
Oh, okay.
And it's valid through the state of Arkansas. Vanda Terrell is down there, and she is amazing. Call her. She will help you. So I started in June, and I finished the next June.
Wow.
It was done in 1 year. It was
that's
hard.
great.
I buckled down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to do a little double work, but I was ready. I just wanted to get it done so I could know, what I was doing in here.
Yeah.
So I was working in here that year. So this is my 3rd year in here.
Mhm.
So 18
Wow.
years in education.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hitting 28 this year.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You
well,
know,
Look at y'all.
we talked before, and she was actually probably in middle school at Magnet whenever I interned there in '96.
Oh, wow.
Which her husband was probably maybe
Right.
7th, 8th grade. We were thinking. So,
Okay.
small world.
Yes.
makes me feel old.
She remembers
You
my
are.
brother-in-law.
Yes,
Yeah.
I taught her brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
old. By the way.
No.
But he's older. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I own it. She does.
Yeah.
I'm just getting older, but I say you're not old till you're 94.
That's
Yeah,
right. I agree.
gotcha.
I agree.
So you're a product of Magnet Cove then?
I am.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah,
So-
see, I bet
okay,
you they
good
give
deal.
you fits coming over to Glen Rose.
That
with
was
the-
a little bit. There's several of us Panthers over here, and
Yeah.
they, there's been several times I've had some openings and stuff, but
Right.
it's been good here.
Yeah. So
It's awesome.
So as far as the library media specialist, let's
Mm-hmm.
dive into that a little bit. I mean, it's so much more than I graduated in 1985, right? So it was a quote unquote librarian then, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so many more hats I think that the media specialists wear today.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about maybe from where it was to what it is today.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was in high school, it was books, and that was where you went to get dictionaries and encyclopedias,
Right.
because
Card
you didn't have
catalog.
the internet. Yes,
Yeah.
a big thing is books. I mean, a big
Right.
thing I do is books. But we don't do the typical Dewey Decimal System anymore. This nonfiction is Dewey Decimal,
Right.
but we have genrefied. And it's almost more like when you walk into a Books A Million.
Mhm.
So it's
Right.
just a little bit more. If I'm looking for a mystery book, I can go straight to the mystery
Yeah.
and look and see if that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
What I want to read, kind of thing. Besides that, I change a lot of passwords. I teach a lot about online digital citizenship, how to behave online, because more and more kids, younger and younger, are online.
Right.
They're online users.
Right.
Yep.
So we teach a digital citizenship unit, and we go through how to send an email, even
Right.
though they learn some of that in some of those key code kind of classes as they're coming through middle school. But and my history teachers come in usually. I do that through the history classes. So I have every student send an email, but we're not sending hey bro,
What's up? Hey,
what's
what's
up?
up? Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna say,
All right.
Yeah.
Coach Weatherford, can we look at my grade on this? Thank
Right.
you, and sign your name.
Yeah.
But how to check their grades online?
Right.
How to check? I mean, everything is at their fingertips. So let's use it in a positive way. Let's go check our absences. Miss Whitfield in the office doesn't have to tell you all your absences. You can go look that up.
Right.
You can go look what you were marked tardy, so you know what classes, and to check your grades.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things to do online that is very beneficial.
Right.
A lot of people think graphic novels is not reading, or maybe reading along with an audiobook to something. And that's all absolutely reading.
Oh yeah.
Graphic novels are, I feel like they're a lot harder to read.
Yeah.
You
I
have
would
to
agree
really
with
infer what those pictures
Right.
are saying.
Yeah.
So those kids who love that, I mean, they're absolutely reading.
Right.
So we do. There's a lot. We do a
Right.
lot of craft stuff and some fun stuff
Gotcha.
and stuff
Oh,
like that too.
That's awesome.
So when it comes to reading, I mean, how important is it and to get kids hooked early? I mean, a lot of times people, there is an emphasis, obviously, with Rise in the state of Arkansas on reading, but sometimes I think folks lose a little bit on the fact that it's tied to pretty much everything.
Yeah.
She's like,
you just
amen. Yeah.
Yes. Can we put that somewhere really big
Sure.
on a billboard?
Yeah.
Maybe like a bunch of billboards.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. When I was an English teacher in the English classroom, I was the only one teaching literacy. And
Right.
that wasn't true. I mean, but it was like the focus was on me, and I said, guys, when you're reading the history textbook, you're reading. When you're reading the science textbook, you're reading. When you're reading that formula in math, you're also reading. Literacy is in everything.
Right.
Some students are better at math. Some students are better at English, or that kind of thing. I like I said about technology,
Mm-hmm.
it's good and bad.
Right.
And I will say there's, excuse me, there's really something to be said about paper and pen.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to being able to do it that way. I think a lot of times we do so much online that we forget we really need that. That's a missing
Right.
step, I think.
Seems like I read something about just writing, like
Helps you
taking
remember.
notes. It helps you remember, which
It
is
does.
true.
Oh, yeah.
It does help me.
It does. It
to
does.
write it down, even as opposed to typing it,
Mhm.
is to actually write it.
Yeah. And what people don't think about reading is, it's like any sport. We can compare stuff. Sports, everybody can talk a sport usually. So if I want to be better at basketball, then I'm
Right.
going to dribble.
Yep.
I'm going to shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pass, and I'm going to work all those skills
Yep.
so that, I can get to the point I want to be at. It's the same thing with reading.
Right.
If you're not reading,
Yeah.
you don't get any better.
Yep.
You need exercise at it, and you need leisure reading,
Sure.
and so that's why you have to find something that you like to read
Yeah.
so that you will read it.
And I find myself kind of old school. I mean, I know there's tons of books available via online services, but to me, there's nothing when it comes to reading for pleasure than having that book in your hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I think there's something to be said for that. So yeah, I mean, again, I think back to what the librarian did for us would help us, with term papers if they
Yeah.
even do those kinds of things anymore. But the thing that's real interesting as of late would be AI.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
So-
it's a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
see, we're not in that setting right now and having to really experience that with
Right.
the kids. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
imagine that.
Yeah. It's tough, and again, that's why I almost feel like put paper to pen.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
you don't get to use AI that way.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Now there are great things that you can use for AI.
Sure.
If you want to, if somebody asked me to write a recommendation letter, I'm sure I could type in AI and say, "Give me a recommendation letter saying this, this, and this."
Yeah.
But that's not for me.
Right.
And if somebody asks me to write them a recommendation letter, I want it to be for me.
Personal.
So I'm going to
Yeah,
take
I
that
want to
time.
make it personal.
Yeah,
Right.
because if I know that person and can speak for that person, I need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So there are good things and bad things, quick things that maybe, give me rules of something,
Right.
My computer even does it. Y'all's mine on your email.
Yeah.
It thinks ahead for you, gives you that
Yes.
next word. What are you
Right.
thinking?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, well
Exactly.
that's helpful. Tab, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll take
yeah,
that.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm a pretty good typer. But okay,
Right.
let's.
Yeah.
I can use
I
that.
use that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's AI too.
Yeah, and like you say, there's good and bad, and what's interesting sometimes, when you see, you can certainly tell even in its short life that it's been in existence when you get something that has been generated
Absolutely.
from AI,
Yeah.
especially if you know the person very well. You're like, somebody knows how to use it.
Yes, yeah.
Are we looking
Yeah.
over there?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but,
Hey, it's there. Use it, right?
I mean, work smarter, not harder. I
Oh,
get
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure on
Yeah.
things.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think even down to the high school level, it's so important to teach the skills they need, and like you're saying, maybe to work in unison with AI. And AI is not the answer because I mean you're going to get to college and there's going to be a lot of writing, a lot of reading.
And you got to be able to think on your own.
Absolutely, that's the other part. Yeah.
And that's the thing about reading.
Mm-hmm.
Reading it makes you think.
Right,
It makes
yeah.
you
Yeah,
put
it
it. It makes you
does.
put in maybe an experience, with
Right.
something, or it teaches you about something maybe you're going through, how to handle, cope, and so you get these ideas and these things that you can put into real life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So library this size, I mean, it's a pretty good size library.
It is.
You
It's
guys,
beautiful.
so when the kids come in here looking for books, that kind of thing. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, how do you guide them? Once they get in here.
So I'm very fortunate that my high school English teachers are willing to come to the library, and they feel like it's important enough that they bring
Right.
their classes every third week.
Ah,
So every third week I see those English classes, and they have a day that's their day, and their class, they come with their classes, and depending on what it is, I'll have some type of lesson that because I have standards to follow,
Right.
in the Library Media Center. So standards to follow in that aspect, whether I'm teaching them something, showing them something, or if there's something that English teacher needs me to, hit on, maybe they're reading something specific and I can show the graphic novel that goes with it, or something. So it just depends on what it is. This week I'm going to show them the Sora app, which you were talking about online, and I didn't mention that, but we purchased the license through Sora, and so that is where kids can check out on like their app on their device.
Oh wow.
And so and it opens them up to the Arkansas Consortium. So it's
That's
lots of books.
Convenient. Also.
It's and so that's a really amazing thing, especially for kids going home in the summer who, maybe don't have a way to get to a library. We open up sometimes in the summer certain days that they could come here and check something out.
Right.
But even a public library, so they could check something out on a device. Which is nice. But you kind of learn what kids want to read.
Right.
And honestly, it's about having conversation.
Yes. Relationships. Yeah.
So I read a lot of books in this library. A lot of books I probably never really would pick up.
Right.
But I read for them.
That's awesome.
Right.
I read young adult books for them. So I may read like 2 young adult books out of here and then one for me. That I want to read, kind of thing. And if it's good enough, I might even share that with them to take with them later.
Yeah.
But every time they come in, I do a book talk.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe multiple. Talk about a book. And I mean, it never fails. I should probably already have 10 copies of that book because they want it.
Right.
Yeah. So I get a hold list going and it gets real popular. But we cover some real life things, and I think sometimes we're afraid to talk to kids about stuff that's really important.
Right.
And not to take anything away from parents. I'm a parent.
Right.
And I know what my kids are reading, and I have a daughter who's 12. And she loves to read historical fiction. So everything she reads, I just go ahead and pick it up too and read it.
Right.
Which I love to read history too. That's my background.
Right.
And if there's anything I feel like I need to talk to her about or whatever, we can discuss those things.
Right.
And sometimes parents don't care what their kids are reading, and that's fine. But if you do care, pick up the book.
Right.
Yeah,
read it with them. Do some research.
Exactly.
But a lot of times you can't decide off one page if a book is good or bad. So you have that. But I love, a kid will come in maybe and they're like, I don't know, I'm just stuck. I don't know what I want to read.
Right.
Okay, what do you like? Tell me some of the things you like. So we start talking. I'm like, okay, well, I read this one recently. Do you remember me talking about it? Let's go look at it. And so we can usually find anything. The other thing we do is like, I get kids to tell me, what do they want to read? What book do I not have that you might want me to look into getting? If it's appropriate, if it fits our, collection edition kind of thing. And so I add a lot of books that kids want.
Well, you mentioned book talk. So do the kids come in and get involved in those? I mean, do the kids lead them? What's that look like?
So mainly it's me, but I have told them that they can, share a book. Usually for the class, they don't really, nobody really wants to take oral communication.
No.
Yeah.
However, they will, and I will tell them, hey, such and such read this book. Go ask them about it. And they are willing to share.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in a small, group setting. Oh, that was so good. Yes, go read that one.
Yeah.
Or they'll bring a book up to me and say, well, such and such said this was really good and said I should read it. I'm like, you should. It is. It's a great book. That's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
So, when kids are talking about books, that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's awesome too. If you can get your whole staff to.
Yeah.
When you're at the middle school, I was like, okay, coaches, I need you to read. I'd go get them a little bitty. I was like, it'll take you 30 minutes. Just read it and do a book talk for me. And they would do it.
Yes.
And the kids loved it, and they,
we were talking about Coach Matlock earlier over here, and he is a big reader. Reads a lot of kind of things, sport wise, or maybe Christian wise, or how through people's walks and stuff. And he's always got something, and he's like, this was good, and that, and so I mean, it's important. It really is. Now, my husband, I love you, babe, but he is not a reader. Now he wants to hear. I can tell him all about the book. He said, see, I didn't need to read it. You just told me everything. It was perfect, but he does read. He's an IT.
Right.
He works at Saline Hospital, and so he reads a lot of documentation.
Right.
He has to read a lot of things that, so his reading is different, but he does a lot of reading. He has to create documentation. I'm like, babe, you're reading all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You just might not pick something up, a novel just to sit and read, but you are reading. And it's important, in his line of work.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and it's important, I think, for kids to see adults, reading and the importance of reading. So with this collaborative group now of library media specialists throughout the co-op, talk a little bit about that. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm gonna tell you, I'm kind of the Lone Ranger up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nobody else that does what I do.
Right.
On this campus.
Right.
You know, we have our middle school librarian, and we have partnered up and do a lot of things together. We just did an incentive thing for the year, reading through the genres. Kids could read through the genres and read a certain amount of books and take tests that hit a certain number. And then they get to go on our field trip that we're about to take in a couple weeks. And I worked with her, and that was awesome. But outside of that, you know, you've got to build connections, and I need to talk to other high school librarians. What are you doing? What books do you have in your library?
Right.
You know, because I'm like, oh, I don't know. Can I add that one? What's it looking like? You know, or, the kids love this one, you know. Dorothy Miller, she's at Malvern High School. She's a good friend of mine, and she's the library media specialist, and we talk a lot, and she comes to the library meetups.
Good.
And I've met some other librarians at Malvern through her. They actually came here because we met through the co-op group, which I've known Dorothy, but all of us met up. They came here and wanted to know about our reading program that we had started.
Right.
Because we're using Renaissance Learning, but not using it for AR points. That's everybody has a different opinion about that, but and I do too. But we are using the testing in that, and we're also using the STAR testing in that to give a kid's level.
Right.
That kind of dives off into something else, but that was something we talked about with them because a book, you know, they would say, okay, well, I need 15 points, and try to find a book worth 15 points.
Right. Yes.
Well, the point level is words on a page, the count, times how many pages are in a book. It actually has nothing to do with the level of the book.
Right.
So the thicker the book, the more points.
Right.
But that book, like Twilight, for instance, is like on a third grade level.
Yeah.
So it's not that you need to find a book for points. Let's find a book on your level that interests you, you know. And so we shared that with them about our reading program, and that connection was made through Dawson. And I've made other connections. You know, I hosted here in November here at the library, and that was super fun to show off, you know, our place and to have everybody here, you know. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, networking's just you can't. I mean,
especially the job-alike
great
pieces,
thing, right?
Yes.
Because I mean, you get to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. I tried this; it was terrible.
Yes.
Did this, and it was a home run. Yeah.
It definitely.
That's
definitely.
awesome.
So, if you weren't a teacher, what would you have been? You think, if you hadn't got into education?
Oh, I probably would have went to be a photographer for National Geographic.
Okay.
Oh,
Gotcha.
cool.
Yeah.
So you do that on the side a little bit?
I did until I got really busy, and so now I just do it for fun. When somebody needs a little something, I'll, you know, go do some snaps and I can do. And
so you think could you airbrush Candace a little bit? Or,
oh, listen,
could you?
She looks just fine. But I'm just telling you, you can make anything look good in a photo.
That's right.
I mean,
she's really.
Did you hear
busy.
that? She can make anything good in a photo.
You can. I mean, that's part of my background with that journalism too, that graphic kind of thing.
Hey.
And my husband said he would definitely carry the camera bag for me wherever we were traveling.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you know, I could. I mean,
retirement.
10 years, not 10 minutes. 10 minutes to retirement. You know, to 28 anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they'll pick me up.
Yeah.
Well, you know, she's really busy because she coaches cheer too.
Oh Lord, you do that?
Yes,
man.
sir.
Woo,
Oh, yeah.
man, bless you. Yeah.
16 of my 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in spirit.
Yeah. So were you in spirit when you were in school?
I wasn't actually.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you're in it now, because you had no idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think my senior year, Coach Barrett, if you ever listen to this, she might remember. I think they taught me into being the mascot at Magnet, and I think I wore the mascot suit for some big things, you know, that they did, big games or pep rally or something or other.
Right.
But no, I wasn't, and just. You know, tryouts are interesting. I didn't make it my 9th grade year, and I never tried out again.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so I played basketball and ran cross country.
Right.
And we had volleyball, played volleyball, softball. Coach Barrett did it all. She was our coach for everything.
You know, I taught some classes under Coach Barrett. Mr. Buttram was my cooperating teacher, but I was with her. She's great.
Oh, I'm telling you want to talk about some life lessons learned from her.
Oh, yeah.
Love her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
So, and we ran track, you know, so I did all the things kind of thing.
Yeah.
Me and my brother and my sister, we all did.
Yeah.
And, but,
cheerleading, I mean, honestly, a school this size, you know, and I would say maybe smaller, encouraging kids just to get out there
Absolutely.
and get active.
Absolutely. I love taking more numbers. I love kids being involved in something,
Right.
We love school spirit. We cheer for football, cheer for basketball,
Right.
baseball and softball. We go work the concession stand.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Give
awesome.
parents a
Gotcha.
kind of an off, and that's our way
Yeah.
to support them.
Yeah.
Because we don't dance on the dugout like the Razorbacks do. Be
Yeah.
cool, but anyways.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of dance,
You're like, hey.
if you need help with a routine, Candace was like the C team
Yeah.
dance teacher. I don't know what.
I didn't do cheer. I did dance.
That's what I'm saying.
But not in high school
But you
because
could-
I had to work.
But what I'm saying is, you have that in your background. You
Yeah.
could whoop up a routine.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I did beat Darren at a, he don't want to talk about it. At a,
what'd you
what was
beat
that?
him?
At a cutter
It-
dance off.
Yeah.
We were
yeah,
dressed in mascot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She won.
Yeah.
I totally won. I
But
practiced.
but ask who practiced for like 3 weeks.
Not for 3 weeks, but
Yeah.
I practiced and I beat him. It was
Yeah.
Hey,
awesome.
sometimes you have to put in the work there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I wasn't willing
If
to.
I-
She-
If I wasn't competitive,
to the
it didn't
point
work.
of she was practicing before we even went out there, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're killing."
Were y'all over there this year?
it was
a couple
years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I still have
My
the
butt.
I still have the winning certificate. in my
Oh, you
office.
should. Yeah.
Well, you got to let her have a win every now and
Hey,
then.
Every
you know
now
what
and
I'm
then.
saying?
Every now and then.
My
It's-
friend's over there, Nick Finley.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
he was my brother's best friend and
okay.
like a little brother to me. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
he's
yeah.
doing good things over
Yeah.
Small
there.
world, huh?
Yeah, it is.
He is doing good things. You're right.
Yeah.
So, as far as what's the best piece of advice that somebody's given you, either education or otherwise?
Probably that I can only control what's right here.
Control the controllables.
I can
That's right.
only control what's right here.
That's right.
And so it's all about how you react to situations. And if you
Yeah.
don't, sometimes it's better to shut my mouth.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to not react and say, I got to think on this
Yeah.
before I
Yeah.
say anything.
That's right.
And there's so many variables, in the library, in cheer, a kid, loses the book and, I mean, what's,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, well, can you pay for it? Can we,
Yeah.
what can we work out here?
Right.
Kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
things happen, and so
Yeah.
you can't control all that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
And what life's taught me, very few things have to be done like right now. I mean, it's okay to like you said, take a breath. Let me find out. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
and I
right.
don't know
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But,
And,
Yeah.
and that's interesting. I think when you tell kids, high school or otherwise, that sometimes they're like, "Wow," it kind of levelizes the people feel. Hey,
sure,
we're all
absolutely.
people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, given advice, I mean, I know you said that's best you got. So, if you were to give some a piece of advice outside of that, what would it be?
Oh.
Mine's easy. Don't work with Candace twice.
Oh, bless
Yeah.
your heart.
Hey,
I
you
know.
hired,
You really do
hired
take
Yeah.
the brunt of
That's
this,
what
don't
I'm saying.
you?
every day.
That's what I'm saying.
I just act over here like I'm all nice, but I do dish it out quite often.
Okay, well, good. That's good.
So yeah.
As long as you can dish it too, take it, dish
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, I dish and take.
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably say one of the big strengths about me is that I'm very organized.
Right.
Because, the library and then being cheer coach, I do other things as well.
Sure.
So I feel like be organized, be proactive in all the things, and then usually things just fall right into place.
Right.
Maybe not exactly how you wanted,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
very organized.
I think organization is a skill that a lot of times we take for granted. I mean, I know going into college or what have you, that it would. I mean, that's or even the workforce. Let's just say. I mean, but organization can help out.
Let's talk about your organization, Darren. Let's talk.
What-
Well, I was going to say, he said about pauses a second ago, and I was
Hey.
thinking, does that mean, hey, I don't have to do this today? I can do it tomorrow?
But see, yeah, that's
He's
right.
semi-organized.
No, but what I'm saying is my life would be better. I'll own that one if I was organized. You know what I'm saying?
But then sometimes you can be too organized,
That's
like
true.
me.
That's true.
Occasionally.
Well, I
Yeah.
will say, we did a study in my Sunday school class about kind of idolizing things,
right.
and I kind of idolize my list and my calendar a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah.
Well, I will. You can go look. I've got my calendar's color coded now.
Right.
But listen, I've got 2 kids in school and several activities, so
Yeah.
I've got to know who's going where and what's happening. But I have learned that I don't have to write everything down just to check it off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have gotten a lot better about that.
I have too.
But organization, I just feel like, I couldn't do everything I did if I wasn't
Oh,
organized.
yeah.
Right.
Me
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Me too.
And there's no doubt there's room for me to tighten up in that area for sure. I mean, I'm just now getting to the point where I'm putting everything on my electronic calendar.
Yeah, he still has the paper calendar.
Oh, I do too.
I'm all electronic.
I'm both. I'm
Yeah,
both.
I'm both.
I put things on the electronic that other people really need to see, but I mean,
Right.
I put it on paper right here,
Yeah.
and then I go home and put it on a calendar for the family to see.
Yeah.
Look, this
Well,
is what's going on.
I've never been diagnosed, but Darren will probably say yes, she is ADHD.
Oh,
But
for sure.
Being organized totally helps
that.
a
Sure.
lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and I know for me, like I say, I mean, a lot of times I agree to things, and then I'll look at my calendar and I'll like triple book, and I'm like, oops, something's
Yeah.
got to give.
Yeah.
Something's not right here. Yeah. Yep.
So, and I know you said you've watched some of the podcasts, so playlist. If we were to hop in your ride, what are you listening to, going to and from work and all around?
Oh, that's interesting. Honestly, it's probably K-Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get a lot of that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I
I like
to-
to switch it to that if I'm
Yeah.
having a bad day because
Yeah.
And-
gets
and-
my mind
I
right.
mean, Bobby
like,
Bones is funny. Now, don't
Yeah.
get me
Oh, yeah.
wrong. I like
Yeah.
listening to
Me
Bobby
too.
Bones in the morning,
Me
and
too.
when it's Thriller Thursday, my daughter loves listening to Thriller Thursdays, those stories. She kind of likes the
Uh-huh.
scary stuff on I think that's
Is
Alice.
that- yeah.
Yeah, Heather.
Heather
yeah,
and
Pool
Pool Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've done that, but mostly it's K-Love. It's a good time to, driving is a good time that, you can kind of meditate on your day, see what's going to happen, pray
Right.
and
Yep.
and
That's
just
right.
kind of,
Get
So-
your mind right.
Until
So, yeah.
somebody
But then
somebody cuts you off, and then you're like,
remember,
Yeah.
I can only control.
That's right.
here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So, what about an embarrassing moment? We've been trying to catalog some of those as
Oh,
a teacher
my.
in class. At school.
Probably trying to act like I did know something that I didn't know,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
having to go back and say,
Yeah.
okay, so I know that might not seem so embarrassing, but
Yeah.
you have to admit you're wrong.
Oh yeah.
To a group of high school kids,
Yeah.
and I'm not above admitting when I'm wrong.
Well-
Yeah,
but
me neither.
But they'll straight up call you out.
you remember that time you were wrong, and I'm like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure do. You're never gonna let me forget that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I could think of anything just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you say you've got kids plural.
I do.
How old are they?
So I have a 22-year-old,
Okay.
an 18-year-old who's about to graduate. He's a
Wow.
senior.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And then our baby girl's 12. So those
Okay.
we have two older boys, and then she's 12. She's in 7th grade this year.
Gotcha.
Oh,
So-
7th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about readers and different kids, I mean,
Right.
my Gavin, he was a lot like my brother. They really excelled in sports and kind of came to class, because we made them.
Right.
They
Yep.
like to socialize, and and of course
Yeah.
my brother has done great things. He's at Bentonville West, but
Right.
he's a coach. But Gavin, he would read his required reading, and he probably read every book in that sports section over
Right.
there, but was not interested in reading.
Sure.
He did it because Mom said you must read,
Right.
and he would read it, and he
Yeah.
would test fine because he read the book, and and so that helped him. But he is working with Nick James Electric out of Benton, and he is going through electrician school.
Gotcha.
So he's getting.
Cool.
He was a COVID graduate.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he had a
Gotcha.
late
Yeah.
start.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he is doing really good.
That's
so
awesome.
yep,
Yeah.
proud of him.
Yeah.
And Gage is going to go to and he's a different kid because
Right.
he's reading whatever books over there is the biggest in the fantasy.
Yeah.
He's read it. He's
Yeah.
done it.
Yeah.
He's kind of a photographic kind of memory kind of kid
wow.
on
Okay.
that
Gotcha.
reading a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's going to go to ASU Three Rivers.
Mhm.
He's just
Awesome.
applied to get into their honors college there, and
Okay.
then his plan is to transfer to Henderson, so he'll be ready like I was,
Mhm.
and graduate. He's going to major in electrical engineering,
Okay.
and hoping that him and brother can maybe go
Yeah.
into business together.
Oh, awesome.
Hey.
So my father-in-law was a master electrician at Reynolds for 20
Yeah.
plus years,
Okay.
Awesome.
and he had kind of Chaney Electric that he did on the side. So maybe the boys will pick that back up.
Sure. Absolutely.
And
awesome.
That's
That-
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is kind of cool.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm an old ready. Well, Darren's
Yeah.
half ready. Your
Oh.
master's is at ready.
Yeah, my master's.
Yeah, my
Okay.
daughter's going to graduate May 3rd as a ready.
Ah,
Right.
I'm
yeah.
like,
I love
Yeah.
Henderson.
I know,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great school.
And I
Better.
think the new president now, Trey
Berry.
Yes, I'm super excited for them to have him.
He's coming from SAU.
Yes. Oh, I'm telling you, SAU's doing good things.
Yeah,
too,
it'll be good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good, I think.
That is good.
Yeah, I think and the thing is, ASU and Henderson made that merge, so I feel pretty good because that's where my bachelor's is at, is ASU out of Jonesboro.
Okay, that's where my brother went.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he might be a Jeopardy question one day. This is I always like to share this information and brag on him a little bit. He was the last A-state Indian to compete in an NCAA event.
What was the event?
Track and field.
Okay.
He was a DCAT.
Okay, gotcha.
And he went in. He barely hit. I think he'd have to correct me, but I think it was the top 25 in the nation.
Yeah.
Got to advance to the NCAA track and field event, and that's over 2 days when you're a DCAT. You do 5 events and 5 events. And somebody dropped out something, so he got to go. So he was kind of the bottom, and I'm pretty sure he placed around 15th in the nation when it was all said and done.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Yep, yep.
Pretty
so
cool.
Proud of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I still struggle because I'll say something about the Indians and somebody will correct me and go, it's the Red Wolves.
Yes, yes. I mean, we still have shirts, that were Arkansas State University Indians, from BJ.
They said they voted on it, but I really think it came down to this. They had to have something, in the old fight song, it spelled out Indians. And in the new fight song, it spells out Red Wolves. So I think it had to fit
numbers.
in the fight song.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, letters there that
exactly.
matching that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my theory. That's my take on it. I wasn't there. So it's just like when they had the convocation center. It was like, we're going to let the students name this thing, right? And so anyway, the convocation center, I forget something else, but the one that was leading the pack, and we know for a fact won. They just didn't do it, but it was Bubba, Big Ugly Basketball Arena.
Oh, my word.
So
it didn't win.
It didn't win. So probably a good. It probably won, but that's not what they went with. I'll put it to you
my! Did somebody write that one in?
No, that was. I think they were just throwing out names, and then so they said these are the top 3, thinking ain't nobody. But students picked that up and ran with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when the kids come home, y'all talk school much, or just you try to turn that off?
Well, with Gage is about done, so don't have to talk to him. He only has 3 classes.
Gotcha.
So he kind of was advanced in starting those credits early, so he anyway, so not as much for him. With Gabby, yes, she still likes to come home and tell me all about her day, and so that's part of what that drive time is too.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And hearing, sometimes if she forgets to tell me something, that's on that morning commute. And we don't live too far, but and I will listen until she doesn't want to tell me anymore, for sure.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. So
no, that's awesome. I mean, I was sitting here thinking about, as a parent, it just makes you really proud of your kids that they're going to be okay. They're going to get a job.
Oh,
and
that's
they're going to be functioning
Ray,
adults.
Ray and I are like, did we do okay? Are they going to be okay? Is it going to be
know.
okay? Because we're about to have 2 graduated. Are they going to be good, upstanding citizens?
Yes.
Praying.
I know, same.
Yeah.
Well, and I always say this. I mean, 2 things. Parenting at times is really a crapshoot.
Oh yeah.
But most importantly, what I've seen throughout 28 years being involved in education, kids may step out, but more times than not, they come back to what they know, and what they know is right. So, I mean, there is comfort in that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody, but a large percentage of them do.
You're right. You're right.
I thought you just said that, and probably one piece of advice I could also think about this. I will say, I feel like for educators, if you don't have a spouse who supports you in everything you do,
right,
and have that home family life of that support, because there are many times that my boys have, moved something for me for cheer, or or they've come up here and helped me move things,
right.
And so my husband is absolutely a rock for me in everything that I do. He is very supportive of everything. Of course, our kids are here, but there are things that our kids aren't involved in that I do that he helps with.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and that's the thing about schools, like Glen Rose. I mean, community gets involved.
Absolutely. And we do have good community.
Yeah, and it's so important, too, I feel like, in order to get everybody involved and, pulling in the same direction. Well, before we get out of here, so if somebody's out there, don't necessarily have library and media specialists, on the radar right now. What would you say if they have a little bit of thought about it? What would you want to say to them?
So when it was coming open here and Sister Trish was going to retire, I really wasn't ready to leave the classroom.
Right.
I'd been in the classroom 15 years, and you're like, well, that's. I mean, are you sure? Why not?
Yeah.
But I love to teach.
Sure.
Yeah.
So to me, something about the library that really encouraged me and really drew me in was, not only was I going to get to know those one kids that I had for that year really well, but now I know. I mean, I can name every high school student we have, 9, 12.
Right.
They all come see me.
Sure.
Yeah. I could almost tell you what they've reading or what they had been reading or what they like, kind of thing, or if they haven't been reading.
Yeah.
So I love that about that I'm still active with the students.
Right.
I'm still shooting to make a difference. I feel like I am.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like it's so important that you be connected, and that's a huge thing for me.
Sure.
I love that. I
Oh,
get
yeah.
to teach through the library.
Yeah.
I love that I get to talk to the
Yep.
kids.
Yeah.
So to me, if you're not necessarily ready to get out of the classroom, but maybe you just
Right.
need a change of scenery or
Sure.
something,
Yeah.
that would be good. At first, I really thought I wanted to be a principal.
Yeah.
And then when you have to wait 3 years
Right.
to get enrolled into a program, 3 years in the
Right.
classroom.
Right.
And I had applied and everything. They're like, okay, well, when it rolled around to my 3 years, I was like, no, I don't think so right now.
Yeah.
So sometimes it comes up that somebody will say, you might be a good administrator. I'm like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Because, you're just dealing with kids in different ways, I feel like.
Listen,
Yeah.
I always said I wanted to be a teacher, and then I never in a million years thought I'd be a principal. But God sometimes has other plans.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
he
like,
does.
Yeah,
He
same
absolutely
here.
does.
I mean, teaching and coaching was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Did that for 4 years, and then admin opened up at another school, but again, wasn't anything I was necessarily thinking that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And what I would say, principals, bless them.
Yes.
I mean, probably one of the toughest jobs. And I mean, I've been a superintendent even, and thinking back to the principal years, I think there are days I was like, woof.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you make it through? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you inviting us out.
I'm so glad y'all got to come.
Yeah, y'all got some great stuff going on
Yes,
here
I love
at
it.
Glen Rose,
Yes.
and I say keep growing the group, because
Yes.
it's so important for our work-alikes, as we call it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If nothing else, to spend a half hour once a month or so just saying, hey, this is what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
well,
It's important just because it's different levels. Like I said, I can go down levels, but I'm not really talking to somebody here
Right.
that's doing
Yeah.
something very similar. I'm doing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's good for the
Absolutely.
group.
Helps.
And the thing is, even sometimes I think it's although we have schools that are similar in size than that, but it's also good to look up and look down.
Yes.
Just to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks again.
Yes.
enjoyed
Thank
it.
y'all. It was so
Yeah.
nice to
Enjoyed
meet
it.
y'all.
Really did. You too. So that's going to wrap this
All
edition
right.
of Spilling the Tea in Studio D. We don't thank them enough, but we've got our road crew, Michael Arnold,
Yeah.
Katie Brown, and our new executive producer, Cinnamon Ankton.
Cinnamon.
So
Sandy
we appreciate what she brings to the table. So
Yeah.
until next time, we'll see you the next time, I guess, on the road, in studio, who knows,
Yeah,
wherever
who
we
knows?
pop up.
Wherever Katie sends us.
That's right. Well, that's going to do it for Spilling the Tea in Studio D.